Is your animaljam running like this? Really laggy, slow, kind of breaks sometimes, but you want it running like this, where it's all smooth, no problems at all, running fantastically? Then this is the video for you. Look, it's hard to ignore, animaljam gets laggy quite quickly nowadays, and while some of the issues lie in the game itself, some issues are things you can actually fix yourself and make the game run vastly better for your gameplay experience. So in this video, I'm going to be showing 7 things you can do at home by yourself that can make your animaljam gameplay experience increase exponentially almost instantly. This has been a video I've been wanting to make for quite a while because I do get a lot of comments obviously talking about Animaljam Classic being laggy, so I've went ahead and prepared a list of things you can do that will help the lag on your game. If you're playing a lot of Animaljam and long sessions especially of the game, these are things that are going to help you. I went through the trouble of testing all of these out. Personally, I use some of these. You will see it in some of my videos as well, just so you know. So I'm not just like selling you out on some things I didn't test or anything. I've tested all of these. So the first tip here is reducing animations. This is something that is just automatically obviously going to help run your game a lot smoother. Obviously, if there's less going on the screen, the frame rate of the game and the performance of the game is just going to be a lot better. Obviously, I'm in a very laggy land right now with Mount Chibir having all these geysers, or is that what they're called? I don't know. All around here. If I go to a kind of a land that doesn't really have animations in it, like Jamal Township, where I think the flag is the only thing, it's going to be a lot smoother to the eye, I guess. And given that this entire land is empty as well, there's nobody in it, the game is going to be running at its peak performance it can run at, especially, I guess, on my computer. And this carries over to, you know, using animals that don't have special patterns. So, like, I'm using a spring bunny here. As you can see, the pattern trailing behind me, that tends to lag up a lot of places, especially if there's a lot of patterned animals around. In very crowded places, that tends to lag very quickly, from what I've noticed in the past. So, using a normal animal like this seal here with this ridiculously long name, this would help with that because this doesn't have a special pattern to it. And also using items that don't have like ridiculous animations to them, like sparkles or whatever. Do I have an item that sparkles here? I probably do. Oh, I have this confetti hat here. Like this has a lot of animations to it. Or this rose brooch here as well, that has like a lot of sparkles to it. Obviously, if we take those off, it's going to be a lot better in terms of performance for the game because there's less going on. I think that's just an automatic given that it's going to work that way. Switch back to my spring bunny here because it's kind of ugly playing as a seal. But the next thing here is just less activity. I kind of talked about like not going in clumped and crowded spaces in the first part, but also removing your buddies, because I know a lot of people have a lot of buddies on the game. This account I'm on right now has 9 buddies on it, so just so you know, now 8. A lot less than most people, obviously, because this account is just a background account for videos, so I obviously don't have people added on this. But in comparison to an account that has like a couple hundred buddies, I've noticed the game gets a lot slower, a lot quicker with the amount of buddies you have, especially with a lot of them logging in and logging off a bunch of times. You know, you'll see the indicator icon in the top left of your buddies kind of flash sometimes as well to let you know that people are coming online and offline. But I'm pretty sure that like takes up part of the game's memory in the background as well while it's running. So that's why it does actually have some kind of impact on the performance of the game. And I always remember people saying that back in the day, like a couple of the animaljam YouTubers I knew back in the day, you know, they would say that, and I always thought it was just kind of an excuse so they didn't have to buddy people. But then when I noticed, when I kind of made my start and started just adding everyone that sent me a friend request, I noticed my performance on the game taking a large impact on the longer I would play the game, essentially. So that's definitely another thing you can do to kind of reduce lag as well. Now, the last in-game solution, I guess, I would have to recommend is just reloading the game. You know, just Alt F4ing the game, closing it out, and then opening it again. Not just logging out and logging back in, but like closing the app entirely and opening it again. This will help as well. It'll clear out the memory it's being used in the game, so it'll pretty much start from a clean slate when you log back in. This one's obviously a bit of a pain to do because you do have to like log out of the game entirely, especially if you're like trading in Brady's. You know, you have to give up your spot and like try to fight right to get back into it again. But if you're just kind of playing the game, you know, without too much attention diverted to it, I guess, then you probably should be fine doing this. Now, the next 3 tips I have here are kind of outside of the game, like you actually have to do stuff on your computer to try help your game run better. So this might be like messing with your computer settings and kind of changing things around, for example. The first one has to do with the actual app itself, by the way. So the first tip is just shrink the window of Animal Jam Classic's app. Like, I kid you not, this actually helps the game's performance quite a bit, actually. So right now I'm on full screen. That's kind of why everything is so wide. I got a few comments in the past about why my game is a lot bigger than most people's. I have a pretty big monitor, so me full screen in the game also makes it look pretty big. But if you shrink the window quite a bit here, as you can see, it's a lot different. The black outer parts here is my desktop, by the way, if you want to know. But as you can see, the game is a lot smaller now. Obviously, there's a lot less going on in the background now because it's only focusing on this certain little part now that it's showing me, if that makes sense. And also another thing that I don't see people talk about when they're lowering their window size, it actually decreases the quality in the game, from what I know, and from what I can actually see myself right here. The game is in a lot lower resolution because the actual window is in lower resolution. That's just how it works with games, not even just Animal Jam Classic here, but just everything in general this kind of applies to. But it's especially going to apply to Animal Jam Classic, a game that gets laggy quite quick the longer you're on it. So this is definitely something you should consider doing, especially if you have like a big screen you're playing on. If you're playing on a laptop as well, you know, you can do with this as well if you're not like opposed to just a smaller kind of resolution like this. Personally, it doesn't really matter to me, so I just kind of play on the big screen, as if you will. But that is a 100% definite performance enhancer for this game. I definitely recommend this anytime anybody asks me how can they make their Animal Jam run better on their laptops, for example. Now, what I would recommend next is actually, you know, closing other apps in the background that you have open. You might not need everything that you have open, so I'm only recommending this in case you do have stuff that you don't actually need open and you have it open in the background, like extra Chrome tabs, for example, or I don't know, programs or apps you left open and you forgot to close, or even if you have something downloading in the background, you know, especially if any of you PC gamers are out there, you know, if you have Steam open, sometimes that automatically updates and downloads games for you. So you might have something updating in the background. If your game is loading slowly, you know, in terms of your internet lagging, that might be the case. But if your performance of your actual game is, you know, being hindered by something in the background, it's probably because something's using up a lot of your CPU or memory. I think Animal Jam is, you know, mostly a CPU intensive game from what I can see here in my task manager. As you can see here, I have editing software, my browser, Discord, Animal Jam Classic, and a game that I really wish I didn't play alongside Animal Jam. And then some other stuff as well. But as you can see, my memory is being used 52% here. Animal Jam Classic is at 4th place here, so it's not too bad. But if, let's say, you know, I had less computer, like RAM on my computer, because I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. I never thought I'd be talking about RAM on an Animal Jam video, but here I am. Obviously, my performance on my my game would be a lot more obvious. For example, like if I had 16 gigabytes like I used to, the game would look a lot more choppier and laggier, is what I'm trying to get at. So if you have things open in the background, like tabs on Chrome that you don't need open, or just apps that you have open on your computer that you don't need open or aren't using, then I recommend closing it. I know a lot of people use, you know, Spotify and Discord while playing Animal Jam, just because, you know, talking with people and listening to music. Like, that's what I usually do. But if you have like other stuff you don't need open, then I'd recommend closing them. Now, the next thing here is setting Animal Jam Classic's app priority on your computer through Task Manager. So the app that I just had open there in the previous part of the video. If you're not really too tech savvy, you probably haven't opened Task Manager before, or rarely ever have. But this just tells you what's going on with your computer, if I didn't explain it already. This is for Windows, because I'm recording this on a Windows computer. I do sometimes record videos on my Mac as well, but I don't know if this step even has like a Mac equivalent. But, you know, personally, for me anyway, Animal Jam Classic runs pretty good on my MacBook, so even in combination with all of these remedies as well, so you probably won't even need to do this step but I thought I would recommend it anyway. But pretty much in your task manager, you can find animaljam classic. Find the one that's using the most memory here. So this one here is using 266, and you can pretty much right click it and then set the priority to high or above normal. I wouldn't recommend setting it to like anything too high or real time, because that can actually mess with just the entirety of the performance on your computer outside of animaljam, just like how your computer is running in general. So I would recommend above normal, maybe high if you really need to. You're probably not going to need to do this, but this is just something I would recommend just in case you want that extra boost in performance. Now the last remedy I have here to offer is just clearing out unnecessary stuff on your computer, including your cache, if you know what that is. If you don't know what it is, I just recommend installing something like CCleaner. This is an entirely safe and free to use software that just clears up junk files or temporary files that your computer forgets to clear off or doesn't clear off. You might have like gigabytes worth of temporary or unused files that don't actually require you to actually have, just taking up space on your computer. Same thing with, other files in general that you might have downloaded or, have saved in general that you might not need anymore. The less space that is taking up your computer, your disk space, the more smoother your game is going to run, and the more smoother your computer is going to run as a whole. Like a lot of the remedies I just offered here, these are just things you are just generally going to have to do if you want to have a smoother performance on any game you play. I'm only applying it to animaljam here because obviously this is an animaljam channel, but it obviously will help as well, and it will just help your computer's performance entirely as well. So clearing your cache, clearing unnecessary files off your computer, just reducing files being used and taken up on your disk drive, you're gonna have a smoother and more playable game experience and PC experience as a whole. But I think that's pretty much everything I know of anyway. I might have missed something. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but if I do remember what I'm forgetting, if I am, I'll put it in the pinned comments. Or if you guys have any kind of remedies that I didn't mention, do drop it in the comments, I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate it as well. I know a lot of people playing this game, they might not have the best computers sometimes, so these are things I'm offering that, might help and probably will help a lot of the time. And if none of these really work for you or work at all in general, there's one or two reasons. One, you might just have a bad computer. That's definitely a possibility. You might want to look into getting a new computer. I wasn't just gonna flat out say that as like an actual remedy in the video, because I know everybody doesn't have the funds to just buy another, $1,000 computer or something to play games on and, have animaljam run better, for example. But the other thing as well is animaljam is just an old game. I mean, I've made so many videos just this year alone kind of poking fun at, the fact it is an old game, seeing how fast I can crash the game and stuff like that. The game is old is what I'm trying to get at. So it is going to get laggy. It's very unoptimized as well. So the remedy about, having to restart your game, that is something you're going to have to do regardless, even if you don't follow any other remedy on this list, just because the game is unoptimized. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for here. I did want to make this video for the last few years. It's only about now that I'm actually getting around to making it, but members did know that this video was coming a lot sooner than you guys did. And if you want to join as a member, see exclusive videos, see videos early, as well as have your name featured out here alongside other perks, then hit the join button down below. It does greatly support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it, of course, as well. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up here, guys. I'll have another video out in a few days probably. Me keeping it up consistently with the animaljam content. Do let me know if these things did help. These are things I personally do myself, especially the empty lands one, kind of reducing animations, going to empty lands and stuff, even though I mainly do that just where my username doesn't get shown. But it also is just, pleasant to the recording that, nobody's around, yeah, we'll go with that. I got you guys later though. Catch you guys in the next one, of course.